Although I've never played a snap of real football, watching football on television has been a pastime of mine for more than 30 years now. It's something that my younger brother and I used to do every Sunday. We used to watch football together in our bedroom. We used to make small bets, per se. We didn't used to play with spreads. We used to pick just who was going to win each game. Used to get some Sprite and some Hostess donuts, the little small donuts. So we used to eat those. And really, it was our one day of the week where we kind of spent together, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest. But I've never played football before. Everything that I know about football, I've either learned from watching on TV or playing video games that are related to football, dating all the way back to 4th and Inches for the Commodore 64. And then, of course, playing through the Madden football games on the Super Nintendo and later the Sega Genesis. But arcade football games are something that I've had an interest in, and really there's only one that comes to mind when I think arcade football games. Sure, we can talk about Leland's Quarterback, for example, which was an arcade game that was a lot of fun to play. But there's only one that I think of that I can spend hours playing and dozens and dozens of tokens playing. I'm talking, of course, about 1997's NFL Blitz from Midway. It's really the second huge arcade sports hit after NBA Jam in 1993. Now, NFL Blitz is much more visceral than NBA Jam ever was, and NBA Jam, as rough as it got, you just pushed players to the court, they fell down, and that was it. But in NFL Blitz, hitting was an art form. You could hit players after the whistle. You could perform suplexes and clotheslines, all kinds of wrestling moves. It was very violent, very intense gameplay, but at the same time was a lot of fun to play. It was I don't want to say dumbed down, but certainly a much simpler form of football. The rule book was basically thrown out the window. Pass interference, forget about it. There was no pass interference. You could not jump off sides. There were no false starts. There were no illegal shifts or any kind of illegal motion. It was just very easy to play. Back and forth football, of course, with that typical rubber band AI, so games are almost always close. So in 1997, I spent oodles and oodles of tokens and quarters on NFL Blitz machines wherever I could find them. And it was necessary at the time for me. In 1997, my personal life was very topsy-turvy. I was coming out of a difficult relationship. My work career or my career was kind of up and down. I was very uncertain about things. Yet when I went to an arcade and I played NFL Blitz, all that stuff would kind of go away for a while. Coincidentally, in 1998, in the fall of 1998, I began working for FuncoLand in West Springfield, Massachusetts. It was my first video game retail job. I was very excited about it. I was hired on as an assistant manager, working with a fantastic crew. And one of the games that I bought with the very first paycheck that I got from FuncoLand was this next game that I'm about to show you. Now, first, I want to show you my open copy, and it's a copy that I'm not going to play anymore because it's very special. I talked about this in my Retro World Expo summary video, and this is it here. You can see that Sal DeVita and Tim Kitzrow both signed this, so I'm not playing this again. This is kind of my own personal, really cool thing to have. I'm not necessarily an advocate of trophy games per se, but this is very, very special to me. Being able to meet Sal, being able to talk to Sal about Midway games, being able to meet and talk to Tim Kitzrow, who I'm such a huge fan of, it was very difficult not to fanboy out. But one of the things, and I talked about this in the RWX video, and I just want to touch on it really quick here, is that when I talked to Sal about Midway and about this game, the first thing he did when I showed him the game is he reached for the instruction manual, which is here, and he showed me, or he pointed me to the back of the manual, which I'm going to show you right here. And there's actually and I want to see if I can show you so I can see. There is a dedication to his dad, Frank, who had died during the development of the PlayStation and N64 projects. So there's a dedication to his dad as well as to Artianus. They fought the good fight. It was a touching moment for sure. I was certainly honored that he would share that moment with me and point that out. And I definitely thanked Sal profusely for his work on NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, and told him that those games were just so important to me because they were important to me to get through difficult times in my life, and gave me a lot of enjoyment as well. But I can't play this anymore. This is signed now. So it just so happens, and the reason that we're doing an Unsealed video, of course, is that I do have a still sealed copy of NFL Blitz for the PlayStation, and it is a black label version as well. So I'm very excited to have this right here. This is NFL Blitz. We do have the security label at the top, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this on camera. And then I have one more game to open as well. As we take a look on the back, no refs, no rules, no mercy. That was really the core of NFL Blitz. Again, the rules are out the window. Refs don't make calls, and you can be as brutal as you want in this game. Taking a look at some of the things they talk about on the back, the number one arcade hit comes home, and it certainly is a number one arcade hit for sure. NFL at its finest, featuring easy-to-run plays and unparalleled action, all in breakneck speed. With no penalties, no substitutions, and nowhere to hide, NFL Blitz is more than a game. It's an NFL highlight film. Cordell Stewart, who is the cover athlete here, number 10 for the Steelers, actually quotes here, with bone-crunching tackles and spectacular catches, there's no other football game like NFL Blitz. I love this game. This added some things to the arcade game. There's a season mode where you can play through an entire season just like NFL Blitz, so it's not like Madden where it's completely simulated. You could play in rain or snow, so you have different weather conditions as well. Secret players, Easter eggs, power-ups. You can also play in a tournament mode that's special to this game, so if you have 8 friends, you can play them in a tournament kind of scenario. It's really cool. It adds just enough to make it its own home game. And again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this on camera, so I'm really excited about that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and do that right now. I know I should have scissors or something here, and I just don't. There we go. So let's go ahead. Oh, boy, this is exciting. So let's go ahead and let's open this up. There we go. I've just taken the NFL label off, which I didn't think I could do. That's on the outside for some reason. So we'll finish taking that off. There we go. So there is NFL Blitz. I want to see if I can get that label off of here. Don't know that I can't. There we go. So the label just kind of came off on its own. That's weird. So let's go ahead and get rid of the wrapping. There we go. Let's go ahead and put the NFL label back on. See if I can do that on camera here. There we go. Just stick that right there. There we go. And again, we got the security label on there. We'll go ahead and remove that. And then I'll show you a little bit of the instruction manual before we move on to game number 2. There we go. So when we open up the when we open up the game here, you do have a purplish disc, again with the artwork on the front. You do have the instruction manual here, and I did show you the manual briefly with the dedication that Sal pointed out. There is a warranty card from Midway here, asking some basic questions. One of the things I always like to bring up on this show is the magazines that you can pick from. Video game magazine, of course, a very big part of my life during the 1990s. EGM is here, Nintendo Power, GamePro, Gaming World, I think that's Computer Gaming World, PS Extreme, Next Generation, awesome magazine, Ultra Game Players, Official PlayStation Magazine, another awesome magazine, PC Gamer, Computer, PSM, PC Games, I think that's Computer Gaming World, I think that was a misprint, Mac World, Mac User, Game Fan, sweet, and other. Also, what systems you use on a regular basis. Remember, this is 1998. Nintendo 64, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Super Nintendo, SNES, Genesis, PC with CD-ROM, Mac or Mac with CD-ROM. So this is, and I'll show you the warranty card really quick. There it is. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about NFL Blitz. It is one of my favorite arcade games. Not quite my favorite, of course. NBA Jam wins that by a nose, but still, it's a very cool arcade game and translated pretty well for the PlayStation. The N64 version runs just a little bit smoother, but nonetheless, this is a lot of fun to play. But the NFL Blitz train was just taking off. There was a sequel called NFL Blitz 99, which Home Systems did not get. Instead, Home Systems got NFL Blitz 2000. Now, what I have here to open up for this particular episode of Unsealed is a Dreamcast version of NFL Blitz 2000, which is the definitive version of the game. So here it is. Unfortunately, it is not a Black Label copy. I could not find any on eBay, so I do have a Sega All-Stars copy. And I'll move my finger so you can see. There it is. Sega All-Stars was basically the greatest hits line of games. And it was actually better to get this because some of the early versions of NFL Blitz 2000 had sound issues. So this is not going to experience that problem. So here's the back of the case, the sequel to the #1 selling NFL Blitz. NFL Blitz 2000 now adds 4-player support, new offensive and defensive plays, realistic weather conditions, new stadiums, and a tournament mode. So that's not an addition. That was in the PlayStation version of the game as well. NFL Blitz 2000 continues the tradition of hard-hitting tackles and in-your-face arcade-style action. Blitz passing, you can either rifle the ball to a receiver with a touch of a button and go for the touchdown, or you can do like a lob pass. Customize offensive and defensive plays to your liking. And you could use the VMU to kind of ghost call plays, which is neat. And on fire mode, which was kind of in the original version, but not really, on fire mode plays much more of a role here. No refs, no rules, no mercy. And here is the back of the case one more time, so you can see some of the screens. Now, this particular version of the game, this particular version of Blitz, unlike the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation versions, does run at 60 frames per second generally. There are some spots where the frame rate dips just a little bit, but for the most part, it runs at 60 frames per second and is pretty gosh darn good. There's also multiple levels of jump pack support or rumble support, so you can certainly make the controller tremble in your hands as much as you want. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's open this up. Now, there isn't any kind of security label at the top of these. Dreamcast games did not have those. It is nice to have this because the version of the game that I got when I got my Dreamcast back in, I think it was 2015, might have been 2016, but whichever one of those it was, the disc was kind of scratched up. It works, but it's not really in great shape. So this gives me an opportunity to have a version of the game that will work better, I think. So let's go ahead and let's try and open this up. It is difficult to, there we go. Difficult to try and find an opening here. I know I should have scissors, but you know, I just don't. And that didn't go as well as I thought. There we go. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's open this up. And there we go. Oh, yeah. That's the stuff. So we'll take that off. I'm not sure what the disc art is going to look like. It is red. So we'll go ahead and turn this around. There we go. So that's the disc right there. Manual is here. Disc is here. Let's go ahead and take the manual out really quick. I know this video is run just a little bit long. Inside the manual, again, we do have a Midway warranty card. It is not attached on the inside for some reason, but that's the warranty card right there. We'll talk about that in just a minute. The manual is in color, by the way, which is nice. Talks about the VMU, the different controller options. Arcade mode is here. Tournament mode is here. Season mode is also here. You can save all that stuff to your VMU, which is really, really cool. Interestingly enough, and this is weird, the NFL label is actually affixed to the manual rather than to the case. That's something that you don't see too often. So we're going to go ahead and we'll put that back in its case. Again, NFL Blitz 2000 for the Dreamcast is the definitive version of the game. There was one other Blitz game for the Dreamcast and the PlayStation and the N64 called NFL Blitz 2001, but that was developed by a different company, and that just never felt like the arcade game. There was also an NFL Blitz Special Edition, which came out for the Nintendo 64 only as a rental, and that, again, just like NFL Blitz 2001, is developed by a different team. It was outsourced to a different development team. I can't say enough good things about NFL Blitz. I spent a ton of money on it in arcades. It's over the top. It's easy to understand. Especially if you're a casual fan of football, you don't have to worry about the ticky-tack rules anymore. Whether you want to complete huge runs or whether you want to throw 50-yard passes upfield. You can do either and enjoy yourself playing these games. They are as much fun to play now as they were back then. Granted, the rosters are a bit different. You're going to be playing with some of the older players, but I think that that's okay. It's certainly fun to revisit those rosters and those teams and remember which teams were really powerful and which teams weren't quite so powerful at that time. I think that that's a lot of fun. Now, we're not done with our NFL Blitz extravaganza. In fact, the next episode of Unsealed will feature a pair of other NFL Blitz games, as the series experienced a bit of a revival during the PlayStation 2 Xbox and original Xbox era, and we will get to that in the next episode. But until that time comes, my friends, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and until then, see you later.